this choice. It makes no sense to me. They have this confrontation, and Gabriel basically says that one of these two women has to die. Hayley Atwell or Rebecca Ferguson, because for one thing, he just met Hayley Atwell. He has no history with her. He has no real connection to her. It's like, what? She's just a pretty face. That's it. You know, he knows Rebecca Ferguson's character, Ilsa. He's been with her for years now. He's been on missions with her. So if he's going to have to choose between these two people, of course, he's an ethical person. He doesn't want either one of them to die. He's beating up Grace when all of a sudden, behind him, there's Ilsa. And this is the moment that I thought was just too dumb for me. I mean, she's a world-class assassin. She's killed numerous people. And he's standing there, dead to rights, facing the other way. Just put a bullet in his head, and that's it. He's dead. I think Robin said, well, they took their guns when they were at the... Okay, well, you got some kind of a sword, knife, something you could throw and put it in the back of his head. There's so many ways that, as a world-class assassin, she could have killed him in that moment. But instead, like many dumb action movies, we have to have an extended fight sequence where we just have this choreographed fight, and you see Ethan running, and you know that he's not going to get there in time, and the music swells up, and it was predictable. We knew what was going to happen. She was going to die a needless death, and it just made me angry. I think you're right. They did her character dirty, but also it was just cheaply done. It was cliched and predictable, so we lose one of the best characters in the franchise in that scene. We start off with a Soviet submarine, and these characters, two of them have these keys. These keys fit together to unlock this special room where they have the secrets. And no one knows where they are. They're basically beyond the capacity for radar, sonar, or whatever to find them. But then all of a sudden, another submarine appears on the radar. They see that it's fired torpedo towards them, and the torpedo is about to hit them at any second. Then all of a sudden, it just disappears. And you see this eye-looking thing. You know, it reminds me of the Eye of Sauron. It's the AI. And then the next thing you see is the torpedo that this Sebastopol has fired is now turning around upon itself, and it is being controlled by the entity. So it ends up destroying the submarine and killing everyone inside. Bodies floating to the top under the ice, and you see these necklaces with the keys. Half of the key ends up with Ilsa, and Ethan is given a mission to go and find Ilsa. He takes Benji and Luther with him into this airport, and that's when he runs into Hayley Atwell for the first time, and she's a pickpocket. She's picked the pocket of the man that he's targeting who had the key, and as he's following her, that's when he sees what looks like a ghost, and it's Gabriel. And then you're introduced to this Asian blonde-haired woman who's French.
That was Mantis.
Yes.
In Guardians of the Galaxy, she's sweet and innocent, but right here, she's the total opposite.
She's very deadly, very scary.
And her acting is great. She doesn't have to say anything.
I still thought it was pretty cheesy that he crashes into the bad guy at the exact right moment when he's about to shoot Hayley Atwell. She has the key in her hand, and she's holding it out, and all he has to do is shoot her in the head. Boom, dead, take the key, and once again, people being dumb, he decides to walk towards her, and that's when Ethan comes through the side of the train, crashes into him, and I was like, what is this, Wile E. Coyote? I feel like I'm watching Looney Tunes now. This is ridiculous.
The agency director paid Grace $100 million. The transfer was successful, but why did she decline it? What, just out of moral conscience? Because she could have taken the money and the key as well. I thought she was a scoundrel and...
Well, she didn't want blood on her hands.
Right.
So she had a crisis of conscience in that moment that she was going to change her life and start over. So that must have been part of it.
But yeah, she could just have taken the money and killed the bad guy and have moral conscience and get paid at the same time. But
yeah.
I did not expect that twist.
The director of the CIA turns out to be the bad guy that wants to control things, and he's confronted by Gabriel. He tells Gabriel he's the only person in the world that knows where the Sevastopol is, and that he knows where to take the key. And so Gabriel asks him point blank, "You're the only person in the world that knows where it is?" And he says yes. And then Gabriel kills him.
Boom.
Because obviously Gabriel knows already. You always have some interesting twists in Mission Impossible. This one didn't have as many great ones to me as some of the previous films, but that was an interesting twist right there. You didn't expect that.
That was a pretty good twist. So Hayley Atwell and Tom Cruise, Grace and Ethan were hanging on this train, and then last minute Mantis showed up and saved them.
She felt a loyalty to Ethan Hunt, which Gabriel predicted. Gabriel basically told her, "You're going to betray me because he saved your life," and he tries to kill her. And I thought he did kill her. I thought she was dead. It reinforces this idea that Gabriel knows everything that's going to happen. It elevates him as a villain. You fear him and his companionship with the entity.
What does Gabriel get from the entity?
He's about power, and what can give you more power than this? It's like a god.
Gabriel is like a Jedi because the entity has access to our Facebook, our Twitter, so he knows.
Yeah.
He can hear everything from our cell phones, from our webcam, so he knows every secret every person has in the world.
He can predict the outcome of things, how it can control everything. It can control the banks, it can control governments. So the possibilities are endless. And that's why I say that it makes sense that this is the end. You've created something that's so big you can't top it. This is the end of the story because you can't go beyond this. After this, you got to go back to organizations like Hydra are small in comparison to this global entity that can control all of the internet on planet Earth.
That's already happening.
Yeah, it's already happening. So it that's why it's so fearful. That's why we can see it as a real threat. But he gets tricked in the end because he thinks he has the key, and it turns out, sleight of hand, Ethan Hunt switches the lighter for the key. Ethan Hunt has the key at the end of the movie, but we still have to go find the Sevastopol.
Which no one knows where this is except for Gabriel.
Yes.
Okay, so guys, if you've seen Dead Reckoning, please comment below what you think about it. Thanks for watching.